Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at Fedex stock here. And one of the main things I want to point out is that they are in a very competitive industry right now. Last year we saw Amazon break ties with UPS, and this affected them very greatly on how much revenue they were able to make and how many millions of packages they were essentially able to ship. Soon after we heard the news about Amazon and UPS, we heard a lot of rumors that UPS trucks were essentially empty and that they weren't carrying the same amount of volume as they were in previous years or even previous months under the Amazon deal here. So, what this industry is experiencing is that there are a lot of companies that are going to be laggers, and there are others which are going to be able to profit from these harder times and come out on top. And FedEx is essentially one of those companies. Now, I did talk about FedEx in a previous video when they were worth around the $100 to $110 mark, and I put them as a very strong buy because of the fact that they hadn't recovered as strongly as the rest of the market at that point. Now we are seeing FedEx at around $160 of value here, and after an especially strong earnings. And what I kind of want to show you guys is that they are being worth around what they were being worth before the economic downturn. So investors are kind of seeing that with online shipping and with other things kind of picking up, FedEx has been able to continue having the same volume that they were having before the economic downturn here. So this presents very good for their stock, including very well considering the fact that UPS and other mailing stocks are doing very bad in the last year or so here comparatively, and even on their own are doing very bad. Now, you can see that FedEx during their earnings, they were expected to have very good earnings about equal to last quarter. However, they hit very much higher above than what was expected here. And some people kind of ask me, like, is there any way to know how a company is going to do before the earnings hit? How do you know what the market is expecting, and how can you kind of estimate what the sentiment is between investors on a stock such as FedEx or such as Apple, etc., any stock that is having earnings? And I've shown this in a previous video before, but I want to be more specific on it this time. There's this website called Earnings Whisper, and you could essentially search up any ticker here. All I did was type in FDX, FedEx came up, I clicked on it, and then now you can see that FedEx is being shown here to me and their earnings estimates. And what's kind of cool about this website is that it does have a social media aspect to it. You can essentially say what you think is going to be happening. Now, where's FedEx stock price going from here? Let's say I think they're going to stay up. Then you can see that 60% of people agreed with me with that green. The yellow is people that thought it was going to stay flat, and the red is people that thought it was going to go down. So you can see that there are some bears. However, the bear sentiment is very much less with this stock. You can see that almost 100% of people said that they were going to beat their earnings expectation. And obviously their earnings already came out, so this data is probably bad. Like, a lot of people probably come back to the website and make a different guess than what they made a few days previous, because this was a different graph when I looked at it before. It was more bears in the market. However, it was a substantially higher amount of bulls. And what that essentially showed me was that FedEx was a good price and essentially a good time to buy in on them. Now, you can see here that they have some good charts, a lot of points where they mark resistance and support, so it is okay for that too as a platform. However, I mostly use them for earnings plays and for knowing when is a good time to come in on a company and whether or not their earnings is going to be profitable for me to invest on, whether I'm buying options, selling options, or buying into their stock. Now, you can see here that they did have a quarterly expected earnings of negative 52% last quarter. I believe this is showing last quarter's data. However, you can see that their trend is that their short-term price is going up and investor sentiments are going up. Now, I don't know where they track these investor sentiments from, but I assume that it is from the quote-unquote analysts, the other investors that are coming to the site to look for data and essentially saying what they think. And that's a very valuable resource here because the market essentially is decided by what other people think. What a lot of people think is what moves the market and is essentially what could make a stock like FedEx rocket up in a single day or come down like a rock, depending on what people are believing the stock is worth and what people are believing with the earnings. Now, we have seen a lot of moves where, for example, people thought the stock was going to go down, then it goes up, and instead of rocketing up, people say, oh, well, it didn't go up as much as we'd expect. we're still bearish. So you can essentially gauge the sentiment for a stock through this site, and it's called earningswhisper.com, completely free to use, and I 100% recommend it. They're right almost 80% of the time. I don't know the exact number, but 80% plus of the time. So yeah, I really use them to play Fedex here, and I was kind of deciding whether or not I was going to hold my shares. I actually made over $5,000 holding these Fedex shares from when I announced them at around $100 all the way till now. I sold them at the peak $163. And another thing that I use to kind of gauge what's going to happen with the price here is, like I showed you guys in two previous videos, was the price levels of a stock and what price levels they're expected to run up to. Now 160 is a big resistance for FedEx, and you can see that they played with that number around the spike of the day, but unfortunately came down throughout. So I was very, very ready to sell out of my position, as I do see them having some bullish potential in the future. However, I don't see them rocketing up above their previous price, such as with other stocks like Apple or Boeing, or sorry, not Boeing, other companies such as Apple or Qualcomm or AMD, etc., which are already above their pre-downturn price here. So yeah, guys, just keep a close eye out. You can see that this is a very stable stock to invest in. They go up and down a lot, so it's good kind of for swing trading if you're interested in that. And you can see that they were able to be swing traded in the past. However, with these last few moves, they've been very unpredictable and it's been hard to tell what's going on. However, they are able to keep increasing in a market that is flat, and this is very positive for investors and for anyone considering investing in FedEx stock. In the last week alone, they've gained more than $30 of value. So yeah, this is a good buy at any price level here, even at the 120. If you can get it for 140, it's an extremely good buy. Now, as with other earnings plays, I do expect them to come down a little bit here after earnings, maybe in around 3 or 4 weeks time, around a month from now. I would expect them to be worth within the 140 to 150 range. And if we do hear more good news about this mailing industry, and perhaps some news about whether or not online shipping has increased the volume for these type of mailing companies, then we might see them have another spike to around the 170, 180 range. But I honestly don't see FedEx going above the 200 range anytime soon, unless we see some kind of ridiculous news on the stock, or their next earnings comes out much, much higher than expected in September. So yeah, guys, just keep a close eye out on this stock. There's a lot of opportunity to sell the options and essentially collect premium. Now, I've explained that in a previous video, so I'm not going to go over it again. But there is a lot of opportunity to be selling a premium here after the earnings play, as there was a lot of hype with this company, and a lot of people were essentially expecting one thing. And even though it did happen, now the puts are losing a lot of value, so you could potentially be gaining the premium from the puts. So yeah, guys, just keep a close eye out for this stock. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and good luck with the plays this week.